Christine Connor. I'm the owner of Amelie Scott Designs. I'm really excited about this new program because the goal is to show you some different things you can do with a pattern you may have already bought. In other words, you've already bought the pattern, you already made the project with the pattern, you enjoyed your journey making it, and now it's time to go off-road driving with me and show you so I can show you some different things you can do with that same pattern. So to get started, we're going to need this pattern and this design, and then we're going to take the design and turn it into a hot pad or a placemat, and I'm even going to show you how to do a coaster and how you can downsize it in your machine. The machine I'm going to be using is a Baby Lock Solaris, and even if you don't have that machine, I think you'll still find this video helpful and fun for some other things you can do with our designs. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to show you is how to make this hot pad. First of all, your hot pad, I want to let you know is you can put either regular batting in there, excuse me, or you can put this heat resistant batting in there, and it's got the foil on one side and the batting on the other. I'm sorry, I forget what it's called, but your local quilt store will know what that is. And then after we do this, if you notice, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to take that same hot pad, which is the center, and add a strip to it to turn it into a placemat. The first thing you will need is the Stars and Stripe table runner and CD. Now on the CD you have all the designs, the embroidery designs, you have the quilting designs for the table runner, and you have stitch out instructions and quilting instructions also that you can print out. What we're going to do for this project though is we're just going to stitch out the hat. And that's what it looks like when it's stitched out. So going back to the hot pad, you will see that we have 4 setting triangles around our square hat. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do first. You will take a 5 1/8 inch square, so it's 5 1/8 by 5 1/8, and you're going to cut that square diagonally. Once you do that, you're going to have 2 triangles like that. Okay, you will need 2 of those squares because you're going to need to have 4 of these triangles. Now what I did on each of my triangles is I took them over to the ironing board, folded them in half, and made a little press along the length of the triangle. And I did that to all 4 of my triangles. I also went over to the ironing board and I folded my block in half, and I pressed all 4 sides in the middle. And that's going to help me get my triangles in the exact place where I need them to be. So I'm going to line up the fold with the fold on the square, and I would pin that in place. Couple pins there. Then I would flip it around or turn it upside down, and I would do the same on the other side. Like that. Then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch. I'm going to do that right now. I'll be right back. Alright, so I sewed the 2 triangles on. These are batiks, and I failed to tell you that of course you do right sides together. So this is my right side, that would be my wrong side, I guess, on a batik. Okay, so now that I've sewn those 2 together, I'm going to turn my block, and I'm going to take my other triangles. Again, I'm going to put the fold in my triangle to the fold on the block, pin it in place, Do the same on the other side, and then I'm going to sew those down with a 1/4 inch seam. So that's what it looks like when all 4 triangles are on. We have these little dog ears on the side that we want to trim off. The block will finish at 9 inches, but when I trim something up, I take the 1/4 inch side of my ruler, which is this little grid. This is a Creative Grid ruler. They're honestly the best. And I lay that down so that I make sure that I am a 1/4 inch, if I can get in real good, I make sure that I am a 1/4 inch away from that white triangle right here. Because I want to make sure I have a good 1/4 inch. I don't want to cut off my triangles. So that's how I would square it. I've got it flushed. Wrong way, sorry. I got it flush down here, flush down here. You can see it's a little bowed out right there, and I would just trim that off. And then I would use this first line as a square lining up. So after I did that, I would make sure one of the lines on my ruler was flush with the bottom line. I would make sure that the triangle, the 1/4 inch, does not go over that white corner, and then, you know, trim it at the top. And I would just keep going around until it's all the dog ears are cut off. So I'm going to do that now. And there it is, all cleaned up. Now I'm going to take my blue strips. They're 2.5 inches by 9 inches, and I'm going to put one at the top and one at the bottom. I will sew those at the top and the bottom right sides together, so of course they will be flipped over like this. And again, these are batik, so they don't have a right or a wrong side. Either side's fine, but you will want to have the right sides together. So I'm going to sew that now real quick. Okay, so I sewed those on, I pressed them outward, and there's that part of the block. Then you're going to take your 13 inch by 2.5 inch strips and attach them right sides together to either side like that. And then you have pretty much your hot pad there. Now if you're going to do a placemat, then all you would do is just add another 13 inch by 2.5 inch strip on either side for a placemat. Makes a really nice size placemat. By the way, in a minute I'm going to show you how to quilt all this, so don't go away. Okay, and there's my hot pad, and notice how nice and pointy all my 4 corners are. Now, because the quilting is pretty much the same on the hot pad and the placemat, I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a placemat instead of a hot pad. And then I'm going to show you how to quilt it. So I'm going to add the 2 more strips to either side. I have a family of 4. I've already made 4 of these. I need 1 more set, so 1 more placemat. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'll show you how to quilt it all. Alright, and just so you know, the hot pad measures 13 by 13 inches square, and the placemat measures 13 inches by 17 inches, which is a really nice size for a placemat, for my table anyway. So let's get ready to quilt. So we have 3 designs that we're going to give to you just to help you complete the project. One is this star in the corner of the triangle, and then there's also this little border design. There are 3 stars that are joined together, and then up here, I don't know if you can see that, there is a star in the corner, a single star. So you have that single star, you have the 3 stars together, and then this one in the corner for the hot pad project. And those will be free downloads on our website. And when I'm doing the video, I'll give you the name of each of the designs. I always forget the names of these designs, so I want to look them up and make sure I give you the correct name. On the placemat, though, we will be using this corner design. I think you can see them really good here. And then we'll just be using the border design. We're not going to use that single star design anywhere in here. We're just going to make these as borders. And I don't know if you can see or not, but I did this in a metallic thread. It's just absolutely gorgeous because it's silver metallic and it's all sparkly. It looks really cute. First, you want to bring in your hat quilting design. It looks like this over here on the screen. Get get you in a little closer. You can see there on the right hand side of the screen. Okay, then you need to find the center of the block in order to get the design to float around the hat. But I'll tell you, if you put that at the start, the center of this design, and I used to have a little stylus I can't find for the world, but if you look right here in this little corner, right above the S, that's where the middle of the design is on this particular one. So if you don't want to mark it, you can just make sure that your needle starts right over that location. Now on this machine, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that. I'm going to set the design, and then I'm going to go into embroidery, and I'm just going to hit my W for my laser light up here, and I'm just going to scoot the design over using the move icon. You should know how to do this. This is pretty self-explanatory, or pretty basic on your embroidery machine. Right there. So now I've kind of got the center of it where I need it to, where I think it should be. It's kind of hard to see the laser light on the, with the red crosshair on the red design. So now I want to show you what I do to really verify where everything's at. And on the screen, I hit the cone, which is your projector. And if you don't have the far left, the white box checked, you probably want to check the white box. And now I can, whenever I put my finger in this box and I scoot it, it'll turn blue, I can scoot it around. Now I'm going to bring the camera over so you can see. I need to shut it off though to move the tripod. So you can probably see the outline of the design, and you can see that my hat is tilted the other way. So my hat is leaning this way, and on the screen it's leaning, my hat is leaning this way, and on the screen it's leaning this way. So I need to go into, I need to fix that. So it's probably just a 45-degree angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the 10 degrees this way, because remember it's leaning toward the left in the picture, and I need it to lean toward the right. So I'm going to press 1, that's 10, 20, 30, 40, and then I'm going to do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that looks much better. That looks much better. Now I can see that the design here is actually going around the hat. Hope you can see it. The design, it kind of waves in the camera, but I think you can see how the design goes around the hat. Now I just want to check all aspects of the hat to make sure it's exactly where I want it to be. I don't want that design like a big 1/4 inch over here. That's actually way more than a 1/4 inch, and just real close to this edge. So I'm going to just check all around the hat, and this is how I do that. Alright, to check around the hat, I put my finger inside the projector box, wait for it to turn blue, and then I scoot it up to a section of the hat that I want to look at. I look at that on the fabric, I look over on the fabric and say, yeah, that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to put my finger back in the box, scoot it over to another section. If it seems a little close to the edge of my hat, I can use my arrows and just scoot the design over maybe a little bit. Well, that looks good now. Then I put my finger back in the box, turn blue, check another area. That looks good. Put my finger in the box, check another area. I went a little bit too far this way, so now I'm going to go back this way. 1, 2, maybe just 2. That looks good. Then I'll go back to the other side and check the other side. Oh, that looks good. Wait for it to turn blue, and then I go up back up to the top. And then if you want to be really, really conscientious and make sure everything's good, you can go around the whole hat one more time, all the different sections, and just double check where everything falls. That looks good. That looks good. Just remember, you have to wait for the box to turn blue before you can move it. Oh, that looks good. Oh, perfect. And now I'm ready to stitch. So what I did was I just hit the OK button and it moved the embroidery needle back to the center of the design, or of the hoop. Now what I want to do is I'm going to advance to that first stitch, because I'm going to show you how to bring up the bobbin. Okay, so I'm going to say OK, I'm going to come over here to my stitch and I'm going to advance to the first stitch. You can see how the needle moved over here. So I'm going to grab the tail end of the thread. I'm going to do needle down, needle up. I'm going to pull up the bobbin thread, and I'm going to pull both threads, and then I'm just going to hold them loosely over to the side. And I'm just going to start my machine. Let's stitch for a second, stop it. And then I'm going to cut those thread tails away. And then I'm going to hit the start button again. A couple things I forgot to tell you. One is my batting. I cut it about 1 inch larger than my placemat. And you will notice that I made my backing fabric really, really big. If you don't want to use your nice fabric, that much of it, you can always cut your fabric a little bit closer to the actual size of a placemat, and then just sew some scrap fabric on the sides. You just want to have enough to hoop. This piece, I cut it 26 inches by the width of fabric, and then I cut it in half, so I have two 26 by 22 inch sections. Okay, so that's the first one. The second design we're going to do, we're going to be putting that little star in the corner. So this design here was called the, let's see, it'll tell me here. I can never remember the names of the designs, I'm sorry. We have thousands of designs, so. Okay, this one, the design that goes around the hat is called the hat quilt. It's from the pattern. Now these other designs, you're gonna have to go up to our website and get them, and I'll have Mark put them out there as a freebie, probably as a freebie download, and they'll say something about like Off-Road July, or you'll know that that's it. There are 3 designs that I'm going to give to you. And this first one, I call it the Quilt Star Trivet, or Q-U-S-T-T-R-I-V. V as in violin. So quilt, Q-U, star, S-T, and then trivet, T-R-I-V. Okay, so I'm going to bring that one up, and I'm going to set it. And I'm going to go to embroidery, and it's going to stitch right there if I don't move it. So we don't want that. So let me pull back over to my screen. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my finger in the design, and I'm just going to move it so that the needle on the machine is somewhere in the middle of one of those red triangles. That'll get me pretty darn close. There we go. And you can see on the that my needle is pretty close in the center. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that projector, that comb button, the projector on the screen, and it takes the projector always to the middle. So remember, you have to put your finger in the middle, wait for it to turn blue, and then scoot the projector over so you can see the star. And let's see, I think maybe if I zoom in enough, you will be able to see the star, maybe not. Yeah, I think you get away, but I think you can see it. Now I want the star and this point to be up in this corner. So I'm going to have to do a little rotating, and my guess is it's going to be a 45-degree rotation. And as it just so happens on my screen, I have the rotation. So let me see if I can do 45. 1, 2, 3, 4. I might only need 4. Okay, 4 was it. 4 was my magic number. Now I want to show you what I do with these little rulers. So these are these little creative grid rulers here, 6 inches by 1 inch, and I like them because I can see very easily where 1/4 inch is. So I'm going to lay the 1/4 inch, one of the 1/4 inch rulers. Let me see if I can get you even closer in here. I really want you to see this. Hold on. So what I'm trying to do is get the design so that the very bottom of the stars is flush with that part of the ruler. So I'm going to just hold the ruler and I'm going to move the design using the arrows on the screen so it goes up. Sometimes you have to kind of move your body around to make sure and look over. So there is a perfect 1/4 inch. Now I want the point of the star even with the point up here. So I'm going to put a straight line on the edge of the white, where the white and red fabric meet. I'm going to put a ruler down there, and now I'm going to move the star over until that point is touching my ruler. Isn't that cool? God, I love this machine. And there you have it. Now my star has perfect placement. So if you guys can see that. I think you can kind of see it a little bit there. Has perfect placement. I'm going to say OK on the screen. Remember, the design will always, after I say OK, it's always going to go back to that center position. And if you want to bring your bobbin up, you'll need to hit the first stitch. Needle down, needle up. Ooh, bring that bobbin up. And then hold the 2 ends loosely. Stitch for just a couple minutes. So you don't want to hold too tight, because if you hold too tight, what you do is you just untie your knot. And we want a knot there. We just want it on top and not on the bobbin. And then I cut away the threads, and we'll just let that finish. Last thing I want to tell you is I have been doing the corners for movement because the design is at a 45-degree angle. So instead of going up and down, left and right, I've been going diagonally. Just wanted to point that out. Yay, perfect placement. So let's do another one. Now it's easy from here on out. Now that you got the first one, you're going to hit your layout button. You're going to rotate it. And you're just going to rotate it 90 degrees, and it's all set for your next corner. You can take that and, let's get out of there, you can take that and you can move it over so that it's also in that red triangle somewhere. And then you can hit your projector, hit the projector until it turns blue, move it up. And let me move the camera over. Okay, and now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to lay my ruler down, and I'm going to use my arrows, my moving arrows. And first of all, I'm going to get it up above the arrow, above the ruler. So it's right there on the edge. And then I'm going to put my ruler down, making sure I have a parallel line between the white and the red, and I'm going to scoot the star over. Yep, went a little bit too far. And And there I have it. Perfect placement, I think. Looks a little off. Nope, perfect placement. And there you have it. Again, I'm going to, on the screen, we're going to say, zoom out. We're going to say OK. And we're going to advance to that first stitch so we can pull up our bobbin. Needle down, needle up. Pull them over to the side, lower the presser foot, and start. Whoops. Let go of my thread. Not cool. And start the machine. So back over to our screen. Say OK. And let's go OK again. Go to layout, rotate it 90 degrees. And say OK. And then let's move that down to the other corner, to the lower right corner of the screen. And we'll get our projector. And we'll move the projector over the star, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to keep repeating the same thing over and over for this one and the next one. Okay, I'm a little too far up. Go up a little bit. Let's see where my point falls. Oh, not bad, not bad. I did a pretty good job there. Okay, again, you bring your, say OK on your screen, and then go to your first stitch. Bring up the bobbin. Needle down, needle up. Hold both threads loosely to the side. Don't let go of them. Oops. Start the machine. Let's stitch that knot in a couple stitches. Stop it and then trim those tails. And away you go. And last time we say OK, we say OK, we go to rotate. Again, we go in 90 degrees. And then we say OK. And we move it over. Our finger, just because it's faster. Then we're going to get the projector, and we'll do all our precise positioning with the projector. Let me move that. I think you can kind of see. And I'm going to move the star first down. And then over. Not bad, not bad. There you go. Same thing, bring the needle up, bring up your bobbin, and away you go. Before we get started quilting the rest of the hot pad, I just have my finished one here, and I want to show you that for the stars, that single star, I just put one here. What I did was I made this with the seam and this area, just a squared off area, and I put a star in there, a single star in here, and then one at each of the bottom corners. So all that left me with then was this rectangle from here to here. And what I did on that was I just laid my ruler down, and I went from the point outward and made a mark. And then I did the same up here at the top and at the bottom. I don't know if you can see the red white marks. This is a water-soluble pencil from Clover. So it will come out once it's been washed, or I put water on top of it. So I'm not too worried about it. Then what I did was I just dropped one of those border designs in each of these sections, the two sections on either side. Here and here. And you know, if you don't have a baby lock machine, the easiest way is just to find the center of this rectangular area. So this would be like one of the rectangular areas. You'd find the center of the design in your machine, and then just pop it down here and it will stitch out. I'm going to show you how. Okay, then since I'm doing the place, so that's how you do the hot pad. Now the placemat's a little bit different, and since we're quilting the placemat on camera, I'm going to show you how I would do it. Okay, again, you know, I've got a seam right here at the top where that 9-inch strip was that we put at the top, and I'm just going to find the center from the corner point on each side. And so there are my two. This is where I drop one design from this seam to here. I would put one design here, one design here, and I do the same on the bottom. Now it's a little bit different on the side because I have a 13-inch strip and I don't have that square up here. I didn't want to lay just 2 stars up here. I just wanted it to go all the way down. So I was able to put 3 stars in each one of these. So let me get the one that I'm about to quilt, and I will mark that up. Now the first thing I did was I just marked my 1/4 inch. So I'll do one side for you and then you can do the other, since my tripod isn't high enough to get both sides in. What I'm going to now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where everything goes on this side. So the first thing I did was I marked where my 1/4 inch would fall, and again my creative ruler has this 1/4 inch on the side. And what I did was, you'll probably notice here I've got a little piece of fabric jutting out my strips. You know, maybe my block shrunk up a little bit, and so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to measure my 1/4 inch from this side, because I know I'm going to be trimming all that off. So there's 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to come over here, bring it down a bit, and I'm going to do the same thing just on those bars. And here is so what I did on the next one was I just measured 4 1/8 of an inch. Let's see if I can get this with my ruler. Okay, so I measured 4 1/8 of an inch over. So from here 4 1/8, and then I did another 4 1/8, and I think my last one ended up being just slightly less than 4 1/8 of an inch. And that really doesn't matter, because you would never have known that had I not told you that, because the eye cannot really tell if something is 1/8 of an inch short. So I'm going to do the other side. Mark my 1/4 inch. Mark my 1/4 inch. And then 4 1/8 of an inch. Oh, let's make sure I have the 4 inches and 1/8. Mark it. I'm measuring down here 4 1/8 of an inch. Mark it. And then the last one is just slightly under 1/8 of an inch. And then while I'm here, I might as well mark this too. Mark the center. Mark the center. So I think now you can see I'll have one design here, one border design here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, one here, and then the same on the other side. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to bring the design in. Let me find it first. There it is, border. Nice simple name for that. I'm going to set it. Go into embroidery. And then I'm going to move it on screen so it's kind of up where I want it on my fabric. Okay, so that's more or less where I want it to be. I think you can see Here I've got my needle kind of in this first blue space. And there's a little trick to this I want to show you. I think after I do the first 4, you will get this trick really quite nice. So I'm going to go ahead and get my projector, which is that cone. And remember, again, you have to put your finger in it till it turns blue, and then you can slide it up. Great. All right, so now let me just come over here. So I'll be doing that, sliding that design around. I'm sorry, I'll be using the arrows to move the design around. So make sure that you guys are in the center of the screen. Okay, so let me get you zoomed in. All right, so I want to lay my ruler down, and I want to first of all make sure that point of the star is over a little bit, so it's not in that 1/4 inch seam. And then I'm going to over here on the screen, I'm going to put my finger in the box, in the projector box, and move it up just slightly so I can see where that is falling. And then I'm going to come back over here. Sorry about the squeakiness. Now it is right up at the top, so that's where our 1/4 inch seam for binding will be. Let's go look at the bottom. I'm going to move that projector so I can see the bottom of the design. And you can see it's pretty close to that line, but I think I can move it down a little bit. This is kind of like, there's no really set place it should be. You just kind of want it in one of these rectangle areas, and you want a little bit, you know, kind of center. You want like even space up above and below. So I think that's pretty good. Next I will go to that first stitch, hit the first stitch, advance the first stitch, and then I'm going to go over again and pull up my bobbin by my little scissors. Hey, by the way, once you've gotten, like, I just noticed that my back could be a little bit tighter over here. I probably should not be messing with it because I just positioned everything. But rule of thumb is once you've gotten everything positioned, you should not be pulling or tugging on the fabric because you can get things out of position. But I'm pretty sure I did not move the placemat when I just did that. So needle down, needle up, pull it up, lower the presser foot, and hit start. Let it stitch for a little bit. And it took me 30 minutes to do a placemat, to quilt a placemat. The quilting goes pretty fast. Now here's a trick I want to show you. My positioning from this white line up to here is just perfect. And let me get you in a little bit. Okay, so from this white line to the bottom of my star is perfect, and the top is perfect. So really all I need to do is scoot it over so that this point of the star is about a 1/4 inch from where the blue and red fabric meet. So here is what I do. I say okay. Okay, I get the projector, put my finger in it, move it up, kind of over to here, to where the star is on one side, and then I just hit this one arrow, and you probably want to watch it. I was showing my mom how to use the baby lock, and she would watch the fabric instead of the arrow, and she was constantly hitting the start button, and you know if you hit the start button you go right back to the start. So if you press and hold, it'll go a little bit faster. Okay, I think that's about it. And here you can see my star has been brought in, and wow, I am good. I am right at that 1/4 inch. So, and even though I have a little bit more room over here, remember a 1/4 inch of that is going to be gone, you know, by your binding. So it's going to be about that much space. That still looks good to me. So I'm going to advance to that first stitch again, pull up the bobbin, Hold both threads loosely together, stitch for a little bit, stop, cut, start the machine again. Now you can do the same thing by bringing this star pattern down to here. You know that the positioning from left to right on either side is good, so we just need to bring it straight down. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our projector, and I'm going to put my finger in there, and this time I moved the projector so that the light was in the middle of this red square. And I'm just going to move the design down into the projector about halfway. And then I'm going to check it. Ooh, I got a wobbly. So sometimes this happens, you know. I obviously have a little curve here in my stitching, so I do need to move that over just a little bit, but at least I got it pretty darn close. And I do want to check the top. Let's see where the top is at. It can probably come down a little bit more. Let's check the bottom. Yeah, a little bit more. Check the top again. Check the bottom again. Looks good to me, and so I'm going to do the same thing. Advance to the first stitch, bring my bobbin up, just like we've been doing. Needle down, needle up, hold both of them, and then start. Let it stitch for a little bit. Stop the machine, trim the threads, and start again. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to move the design using just one of the arrows. Let's move that down a bit. And I'm just going to hit this and move it over. Let's see where that's at. Went too far. And that saves you from constantly trying to go left, right, up, down. It just saves you a little bit of a step. Just a little shortcut from Christine. And ruler, check. Maybe just a little notch over. When I'm happy with that. So, and again we go needle down, needle up, or advance to the first stitch. I'm sorry, advance to the first stitch. You know, needle down, needle up, and then stitch it out. I think you get the idea on how to do the rest of this, and then of course you just do the other side. When you do the two on the side, you can either turn the placemat in your hoop, or you can, you know, rotate your design so it lays down flat. Yeah, actually you might, if you have a big hoop and you move it over, you might be able to do all four of them in one shot, you know, if you center it in the hoop. By the way, when I'm doing these placemats, I have found it's a little bit easier to hoop everything at a hooping station. Normally when I do a quilt, I just put the bottom portion in and then I hoop, but it's a little bit easier on these smaller projects to, I find, to do it at a table and then bring it over to your machine. Now as for binding, you're going to need 1.5 strips of like 2.5 inches by width of fabric. You'll need 1.5 for each placemat in order to bind them. And then you probably need about the same thing for a hot pad as well. And here come the sirens. We just have all kinds of noise today. Now this video has gotten rather long, so what I'd like to do is have a part 2 and show you how to do a little coaster. This design and the quilting around it has been shrunk a little bit to make it more of a nicer size coaster, so please tune in to part 2 for that information if that's something you want to watch. Thank you. Thursday. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Good girl.